Ms. Foulkes, rent control has been a hot issue in Providence. If David Morales wins the mayor's race over Brett Smiley, there will almost certainly be a rent control ordinance, something I believe you both have opposed. If the General Assembly passed legislation to block rent control in Providence, would you sign it?
I really haven't thought about that yet, because what I want to do is we have a housing crisis. I agree with a lot of the people who are worried about rent control. It comes from the same place. That place is feeling that you've been priced out of housing in this state. There's not a single city or town in Rhode Island today where a family making $100,000 a year could afford to buy a home. Rents in Providence are out of control. The only way to solve this crisis is to build a lot more homes and apartments. That's what I will do when I'm governor. I will build 20,000 new houses and apartments, and I'll use the millionaire's tax to pay for that. I'll also have protections on tenants' rights. I've met so many families who've been kicked out of their apartments in the middle of the school year, have to move to another town, totally upend their families' lives. I've also got part of the money that I will put towards rent relief. We know, in fact, that 1 or 2 months' rent can really help a family so they don't get pushed out of their apartments. So there's a lot to be done. This is a place where we have very big differences in our policies. This is the #1 thing I want to work on, and it's so important that we get it right. Building 20,000 new houses and apartments is the way to go.
Mr. McKee, I'll let you speak broadly about housing, but the original question is, if the General Assembly passed legislation to block rent control in Providence, would you sign it?
Yes, first of all, you got to see the bill. And so I definitely would talk to any mayor that's in Providence if they're trying to help with that area. But I want to talk about this housing thing. My opponent's housing plan doesn't work. In fact, it's going to delay production. She's counting on a millionaire's tax that we actually have put those dollars to help with child tax credits. Trump's pushback on health insurance, keeping 20,000 people on health insurance that are not on health insurance. That's how we're using the millionaire's tax, and we're going to eliminate the Social Security tax once and for all in this state. And those dollars are going to help us do that, to help families in terms of the affordability issues. Her plan will not take a dollar of revenue in until probably the summer of 2028. And then it takes time to actually build out the buildings, and from permitting to actually ribbon cutting is another 2 years. She won't have a shovel in the ground till probably 2029, 2030, and she said she's going to build 20,000 housing units with those dollars. The timeline does not work. We have a plan, the first plan in 20 years for housing. We've done over 8,300 units since I've been governor. We talked about and over 1,200 with the bond that was just passed in 2024, and we still have only used half the money. So we are in a spot right now where we're actually making progress on this, and the way you control rents and control costs is by creating inventory. My opponent's plan will not put a shovel in the ground because there'll be no money to actually build the houses that she's talking about until about probably 2029.
All right, Ms. Foulkes, 30 seconds. Does he have that timeline right?
Well, he's changed his numbers, but I think the fact of the matter is I voted for the housing bond a couple years ago because housing really, really is important to me. But when I learned that of $120 million, we're going to send $70 million to Wall Street to pay interest on that bond and only build 600 units, an average price of $500,000 apiece. These are low-income houses. That's the RIPEC report. You can go back and look at the facts. Yeah. So this is not making the difference we need. We need 20,000 new homes and apartments. If you look around the country, we have to be much more ambitious than the governor's being, and that's why my plan is so focused.
Briefly, she's citing a RIPEC report, Mr. McKee.
Well, first of all, the number is 1,200. We've used half the money. But when you make the money that my opponent made, $80,000 a day, as you were letting 2,000 people go, your urgency is not there. I'm telling you, she couldn't respond. Her timeline doesn't work. If she puts in a tax, right, in this next session, we don't collect that money until the probably 2028, right?
But does RIPEC have the numbers wrong?
Yeah, they have the number wrong. They should call us up and we'll give them the number. We did 8,300 units since I've been in office. Okay. We have 6,500 that are in the affordable category and 1,200 in the bond that was passed in 2024. But let's get back to the timeline.
Last week he said
the urgency is now, not in 2028, 2029. Your plan will not bring a dollar in of tax tax revenue until that time frame. Just do the math. I know how budgets work.
Ms. Foulkes?
When people pay that millionaire's tax, they're not going to pay it until the spring of 2028.
Final word, Ms. Foulkes.
The urgency is now. I could not
That's why
agree
you should
more.
pass the
I could not
bond
agree
again,
more
please.
with the governor. He has not acted with a sense of urgency around this issue. Part of the number he's taking credit for, he's saying 8,300 today. He had 7,000, he said, same number last week. I went back and looked at his 7,000. A good chunk of those 7,000 that he talks about are houses units that he protected that didn't get demolished. He's counting that in his production of new homes and apartments. So nothing has
people
happened.
couldn't live in them
I'll go
before, now
back
they
to
can
my
live in them.
original premise. There's not a single city or town.
Answer the question about
There's not a single
the fact
city or
that you won't
town.
get a shovel in the ground
this
until about 2029.
Governor, stop. There's not a.
Can I respond to that?
No, there's not a single
gotta
city or
stop.
town.
I got to calm down.
Mr. McKee,
Respect this office. I am the governor of the state of Rhode Island, and you're disrespecting this office. And she's still not talking about the timeline.
Okay, we're going to move on.
No, I want to make this final point.
So you're saying,
Because
Governor, that the millionaire's tax, if passed by the Assembly, by the time the new budget took effect, you say the money wouldn't be there? Is that what you're?
The money is not coming in until people pay their taxes in 2028.
What do you say to that specific question?
She won't have an
Next year, the millionaire's tax is being phased in. Next year, we get half of a year. So that'll be $23 million next year for this current budget. Let's assume that's already accounted for, and I understand that. Then you go forward. The following 4 years, there's close to $500 million starting right away that does come in. This also creates a revolving budget, a revolving loan. So what's also very important and different in my
Briefly,
plan,
Ms. Foulkes.
yeah, is that it's a loan that we get paid back on. Okay? The governor's money goes away, mine comes back. It is a very important difference. Once you understand it, you can see how much more we could do.
15 seconds.
Trump has caused a big problem with using the millionaire's tax to help people that need the help right now. My opponent should understand that. She put money into a Trump victory fund, and then she put money into McConnell's pocket, and then he went on and took away Roe versus Wade. So I understand that you don't understand
We are getting far away from housing at
But
this
I will
point.
say, Ms. Foulkes,